Today in Algebra 1 we talked about solving for absolute value equations. Now I looked over the homework and noticed that there's a couple steps we need to go over a little bit more. So that's what we're going to do now. Here I've got an equation that is a little more complicated than some of the other equations that you saw because we're multiplying our absolute value times the value. We're also subtracting on one side. So we're going to have to do a couple manipulations here in order to solve for x. Now remember, with our absolute values, we're going to have a possibility of having no solutions, one solution, or two solutions. The time I'm going to have two solutions is if I have my absolute value portion equal to a positive number. No solutions is when it's equal to a negative number. So for example, if I had something along the lines of, down here, I'm going to write down x minus 2 equal to negative 3. No matter what's inside of my absolute value, it doesn't matter because I have the absolute value of that is equal to a negative number. And remember, we can never take the absolute value of something and get a negative number. And so this has no solution. If we have the absolute value of something is equal to 0, so in this case I'm just going to use the same absolute value of x minus 2 equal to 0, then we can't have a positive and negative 0, but what you can solve is that x minus 2 has to equal 0, and therefore x equals 2, and that's it. But solving for two solutions is what we really spent a lot of time on, so I want to, again, go back to that. Now, if these were parentheses, we would start with the distributive property, but this is an absolute value sign, so we need to treat it a little differently. Step 1 is isolating the absolute value. So I'm going to add 5 to each side. That gives me 3 times the absolute value of x plus 2, that's 0, equals 15. Now, in order to continue isolating my absolute value, I need to divide by 3. So I divide both sides by 3. And I'm left with x, the absolute value of x plus 2 equal to 5. Okay, now this is the part I really want you to pay attention. The way that I then solve for my equation, this is essentially saying that x plus 2 equals 5 or x plus 2 equals negative 5. Please notice that there are no absolute value signs on the outside of this because it's not possible to have the absolute value of something equal to a negative number. So what we're saying is what's inside here is either equal to positive 5 or equal to negative 5. And then we solve just as we have been for the rest of the semester. And so x equals 3 or x equals negative 7. And that's how you solve an absolute value equation.